So I've been privileged to be energy manager, environmental manager, and then latterly University Sustainability Advisor at the University of Edinburgh since 1989. Last year I stepped back from that role, and my current role is as an associate for Edinburgh Centre for Carbon Innovation. So I retain an interest in the sector, and that's why it's been such a privilege and a pleasure to participate in this workshop this weekend. The year after I joined in '89, we adopted an energy strategy, which was to start monitoring energy consumption and report, to invest 5% of our utility spend in energy efficiency measures, to establish cost centres and so on, to start the process going. We've done well enough over the course of and invested £30 million in combined heat and power has been our particular approach that we've been using. So we generate 4/5 of our electricity on site, on campus. But our 2010 to 2020 climate action plan, which very like the carbon management plans that Sheffield has or other higher education, other public bodies have, was not really achieving the stated objective of 29% reduction by 2020. We were adrift of our targets. And this is for all sorts of reasons. Expansion, we're growing, we're building laboratories at a tremendous rate and so on as a research-led institution. Now, it was felt essential to review, so over the last year and a half, the Director of Social Responsibility and Sustainability, Dave Gorman, has led a team which has reviewed all aspects of our climate journey. And last December, they achieved formal adoption by the university. Now, what's interesting in this one was that it wasn't written away. It engaged very many more people, heads of school, open meetings where the ambition, the opportunities for Edinburgh as an academic institution were explored, as well as a set of buildings, a campus. And that has meant that there's a much greater buy-in this time. The process was as important as the target. But what's interesting is that we do now have a very ambitious net zero carbon by 2040 as a headline ambition. How we will achieve that's another matter. So what I'm aware is that, and all through my professional life, I've preferred not to dwell on the barriers, but to dwell on the reasons why stuff happens. And we have been extraordinarily fortunate in being well led by senior vice principals at different levels who've convened the Environmental Advisory Group, then the Sustainability and Environmental Advisory Group, and now what's entitled the Social Responsibility Committee. These have had vision and long-term view about Edinburgh as a 430-year-old institution wanting to be here in 400 years' time. And so we have a privilege in our sector of being able to plan beyond the 2-year, 4-year time horizon. And I think that that's been the biggest driver for us, has been clear leadership of individuals who understand, who get the sustainability agenda and who are willing to quietly put the word at the right time in the right place, so that programs, policies, objectives are incorporated into the university's strategic plan, our values statements, and as well as the technical and estates-related issues. By putting a headline net zero carbon by 2040, which is endorsed by the senior management team, by the university court, it clearly signals a much stronger direction of travel, and a sense that the university corporately is on this journey, than it being an estates green thing over here. What's clear also is that this wide process of engagement which has occurred over this last 18 months has drawn in colleagues from the research and the teaching community who see it as part of their challenge. We're not there yet, but they know that maybe 10,000 of the 17,000 tonnes necessary emissions by 2025 isn't completely spelled out yet. And it's an intellectual challenge. It's a spirit of inquiry that other colleagues across the university are now going to be engaging on. Well, I'm in awe of the US colleges and universities who have adopted very much more widespread under the American college and university principles climate commitment, this zero carbon ambition, which is pretty widespread. It's very interesting. I have to say it's hugely challenging in a sector, in an industry, in an area of civil society and economic activity in Britain, which is being expected to hold or pull Britain up by the bootstraps in many ways, and to maintain Britain's role in the world. I see that there's a huge amount of faith, a huge amount of investment being put in our sector, which means that we are expanding. We are working more intensively, and this would tend to cause a greater carbon emissions. This is a massive challenge, but the fact that we've got an alignment within Edinburgh University, but alongside many other Russell Group universities, new universities, international universities in Australia and Canada, in the United States, and across Europe, where we're saying this is part of our purpose. We have to tackle these big problems, these global challenges. Climate change, peak oil, oil depletion, transition, these are all really big questions. They're not just technical questions, they're not just engineering questions, they involve cultural, the social movements, social inquiry, change in perspective that's going to be necessary if we're to live more lightly on the world and if we're to share out the riches that the world has more fairly between North and South, between generations.